Welcome to Toronto Until Live. I'm Steve Artabello with Anthony Harris and Theo Giordano. You can find us at our website, torontountilt.com. You can find us at our Twitter, at Toronto Untilt. Of course, we're live right now on Twitch, Toronto Untilt. We're live on YouTube, our YouTube channel, Toronto Untilt. And finally, our YouTube the video will also be posted there after. And then on top of that, you can find our audio, which will be posted after the podcast, available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Anchor, Breaker, Bleaker, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. Sports are back-ish. There's a bunch of postponements and shit, but they're rolling. The NFL's rolling. Ottawa sucks. That was awesome.
Oh my God.
I guess we'll start with the Leafs. They came back and blew the doors off the Ottawa Senators.
Very weird start. Like, it wasn't like you could tell they were off for a while, and then they just blew the crap out of them. The power play was weak, and then we scored shorthanded, and it just like floodgates.
The David Kampf, Justin Hall 2-on-1 shorthanded, where you're like, how is this? You're looking at this, you're like, how are these two leading a 2-on-1? This can't possibly. Oh my God. Okay. All right. That's a thing that just happened, and then the rest of the game went from there. It's nice. I mean, the Leafs don't generally respond after long. Like that, a lot of problems with this team. Nice to see happen, but still kind of waiting to see.
No, I'm not doing that conversation again, Steve. I'm not having that conversation again.
Oh, the Leafs are amazing. Whatever.
No, and it's important to see, like, you know, when adversity hits, and what we've seen lately with this team with adversity, it always hinders them. After a break like that, coming out the way they did is just impressive to see. And I know we're not going to have that conversation again about the playoffs, but like, I'm feeling very good. Every time I watch them, it's just like, you know, they're doing different things this year. It feels like a different team.
Hopefully. A lot of guys are coming back. McDavid scoring on a breakaway, scoring twice. Like,
he got 2 goals yesterday.
That was on the penalty
Saturday
kill and the power play, which was insane. Like, just McKay, yeah. So that's everything's interesting. It's again, when everyone's back though, like fully healthy, it's going to be interesting how they fit in cap wise, because again, they don't have enough money technically, but they'll figure it out allegedly when Jake Muzzin comes back.
The cap doesn't exist.
Kyle Dubas is the genius, the mastermind.
That's and Kyle Pridham, who they have, or not Kyle Pridham, Brandon Pridham, who's the assistant GM and runs the Marlies, wrote the salary cap. Like, he's the one who wrote all of the legal speak in it, so he knows all of the rules. So that's what that's the whole point. So hopefully they'll figure something out. But it looks good. Now today the news was that Austin Matthews, so he tested positive on a rapid test, then he tested negative on a PCR test, and now we're waiting for the second PCR test results. So he hasn't been ruled out of tomorrow's game, but Connor McDavid has been ruled out of the game as he is positive with COVID.
Yeah, I really want Austin to play that game. There's something about Edmonton that just I don't like. I think it's because it's like a West Coast mirror for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's basically us out west.
Are they doing really bad?
They're being terrible last month.
Well, they started great, and then they've been terrible. Nico Koskinen giving goals away.
I don't know if we talked about it on the pod, but we were saying like a few months ago how Vancouver, like all these teams, the Canadian teams were in the shits. And Edmonton and Toronto were kind of like keeping the country up. Now it's like turning. Vancouver's on a run. Winnipeg's back in it. Like, everyone's doing well now, and Edmonton's falling apart. So it's just the ebbs and flows. And there's so much time with this season. Like, it feels like it's a lot deeper into the year, but like,
that was the thing with that huge pause. Marner's back, Sandin's back. Guys that you thought were going to miss multiple weeks missed a couple of games because of the way the pause worked, and it worked out in the Leafs' favor. I mean, at the same time, a bunch of the guys got COVID or were in the protocols, but then they came back and put that up against the Sens. So, I don't know. It looks good. It'll be interesting to see what happens against Edmonton, but if McDavid's out with the way Edmonton's been playing and the Leafs are back to essentially full strength, especially if Matthews is playing, should be interesting. Look for Draisaitl, though, to probably have like 3 points. It's just that's what's going to happen, but the Leafs should be able to
8-3 Leafs.
I mean, the way the Edmonton games have been going, it'll probably be like 5-3, but they'll be up and there'll be some kind of Koskinen giveaway or Tyson Barrie giveaway or
our guy Tyson Barrie.
Yeah, and not like we've seen that before, right, Tony?
No.
Tyson Barrie giving the puck away or just hammering it into the puck. Oh god,
he was so useful. Great.
Oh god. Anyways, another thing, I guess, before we move on to the Raptors, because this applies to the Raptors too and all teams in Ontario. We won't get too much into it because it's dumb. Like everything in Ontario is locked down, and there's 1,000 fans, then no fans, and just whatever in these games, and it's back to looking and sounding ridiculous.
I think we're actually perfect, though, the Canadian teams, or the Toronto teams, since this thing reinstated, which is just a stat for you right there.
Well, I saw when the Raptors got healthy. It's all a coincidence.
That's probably the bigger reason.
Yeah, it's
I'm telling you now, it was a coincidence.
Yeah, it's like I get it, but there are other things that I think could have probably been done and managed, and you could probably let adults make.
You know what?
I don't want to get too deep into it. Like,
I want one thing about this: if this messes up my Canada USA game, that I got tickets to, we will be ended up. Anthony,
I think you're watching the NFC Championship game after all.
Well, if the Eagles will be in it, so I have that decision to make already. But this Canada-US game, probably, you think it's bigger than the Mexico game?
Yeah,
I think it is because it's a big rivalry.
Well, it is also now because of like on the back of the results that have been building. You've beaten the U.S. recently. You drew them in the last game where you were really playing defensively, but now there's a different confidence in this Canadians. Like, it's a completely different game, even though it's going to be in the cold and potentially snow in Hamilton. But I guess we'll talk more about that when we get to it, but I hope it doesn't fuck that up. I really do, because I'd be upset. And again, this is coming from a podcast we're all vaccinated. It's not like
I'm getting my booster tomorrow.
Actually, so am I. So, yeah, like, it's just, we figured that maybe you don't. Anyways, I don't want to get into this.
We can't talk with it.
I don't want to get into this. We'll probably get deleted on YouTube for talking about this anyway. So just let's.
I don't. Yeah, let's. I don't care either way. Whatever. I just want to watch my Canada game. I don't give a fuck about anything else. I want to watch Canada play. That's all I care.
I have no faith in the people that are in charge to make sure that everything will be okay by then. But hopefully, it is February.
It's outdoors. I have faith in.
Oh, hey, that's people we do have faith in are the Raptors, who are. The score bug just went away, but they hit a 3. Oh no, they're showing the replay. They're beating the hell out of San Antonio right now and potentially going to get back to 500. They've been great. The big three, like Fred, OG, and Pascal.
Ready for Freddie, eh?
Yeah, like
he's on the table.
And that's exactly. And everyone's healthy. Well, everyone that matters. I don't mean that like too much to Svi and Yuta and Bonga and what, but you know what I mean? Like the real rotation guys that we've been waiting for are here, and you're starting to see what they can do. And they haven't played too many good teams. Like they've beaten the brakes off bad teams, and they're beating the brakes off of an interesting, young, fun Spurs team, but they're not a great team. So they're beating the brakes off them. This is a huge week for the Raptors, because if everyone can stay healthy and they can keep these guys together, the Bucks in the second half of back-to-back, I want to see the effort. I want to see how it goes. But if the game's super close and then falls apart in the fourth quarter, because that's kind of what happens in the NBA on the second half of back-to-back, that's kind of what I'm looking for. But what we were talking about before the podcast, then they play Utah. After that, they play the Pelicans, and then they play the Suns. So this is a huge stretch against good teams where you have to see what you have. And that's what I've been talking about the whole season is you don't tank. You have to see what you have here. And you're watching them beat the brakes off bad teams. And now they need to be good against good teams. And throw out the 76ers game because there were so few guys in that game. But Chris Boucher almost had 30 and 20. He had 28 and 19. And they could have won that game. They were right in it. So I'm very excited about the Raptors. I don't know about you guys. What do you think?
They're all back. It's good. Trent's been back for a while, and he was struggling, understandably. But yeah, tonight he's got 12 points. He's doing
Well,
well.
this is the role he's supposed to be in, though, now, right? You have Fred and Pascal. Like, I think essentially, as much as they keep saying that, hey, Pascal's the max guy, he's the guy, it's Fred's team. He's the alpha. So
he's got to be an all-star.
But you now have Fred, Pascal, OG, right? Where they can all kind of share that scoring burden because Fred's averaging 20 and Pascal and OG are averaging like 19.8 and 19.9. So they're basically averaging 20 points. And then Trent can now score, like he's averaging 16, but you don't have to rely on him for 20 to 30, right? And defenses are scheming for the other guys, so he should be getting more open shots. Scotty gets to be completely sheltered because he's not relied on for anything other than to play defense. So it's just now you're getting to see the perfect case scenario.
And you're getting some addition by subtraction by less precious minutes.
Well, now guys are slotted in.
Oh, he froze again.
They're in the right positions that they're supposed
Steve
to be.
Freeze.
Yes.
But yeah,
I
roles they should be.
You froze. You got to redo all of that from the beginning.
Oh, okay. Well, the addition by subtraction thing that you were saying, guys are in their proper roles now. You have OG, Pascal, Fred, OG carrying the load. Then you can have Scotty, Gary Trent Jr. step in as guys who can put up big numbers. And then off the bench, you have everyone coming off where they're supposed to be. Precious's minutes are limited. Birch can play a bigger minute. Like he can start in certain situations. He can play 20 to 30 minutes coming off the bench. You can see Boucher now, who's really starting to put up some offense and play defense and rebound off the bench. It's just everything is being put together where guys are in the proper role.
Yeah, and we saw some guys get exposed with these extended minutes, like the Banton and the Flynn, where it's just like, guys you like as pieces, but just when they are overexposed against other teams' best players, just don't look as good.
Banton, I'm not as worried about. That was a massive whiff for Malachi. Like that was his chance to really he had moments where he's looked okay. He's had moments where he's looked pretty good this season, and that was the chance to play a ton of minutes, and he looked bad. Just really, really bad. And Delano, we talked about this before the pod, before we started recording when we were prepping. Delano fits a very specific role. Limited minutes, super high energy against the other team's bench. That's where he looks really good. So when he gets overexposed, in the G League, he can be a star, and you're developing him into a good NBA player, but he's so young and so raw that you can't really count on him for big minutes against grown men, savvy NBA veterans, you know what I mean? Like guys that he can't just out sprint, out try. It's a little harder for him. Like he does make great heady passes. Like there are some things about him that, you know what I mean? That's excited about him development wise, but he gets exposed when he has to play extended minutes.
Yeah.
I forgot to make the show. That's what I was doing. So I wasn't listening.
Yeah, no, this is a big week because you got to see what happens. Like it's a long season. They're back into the play-in spot. And if you look at the standings, which I was doing, let me pull it up. Like if you look at the teams that are ahead of them, they're not teams that you're really afraid of. Because if the Raptors get to 500 tonight, they'll jump the Celtics and be back in 9th place. They're tied with the Hornets, who are also 500, but have played 4 more games. The Wizards are 19 and 18, and the Wizards are terrible recently. Like after their hot start, they've been atrocious. They can barely win a game. Philly's a mess. Joel Embiid is so good, and the East is the bottom of the East is so bad that that team is good. But this is where it gets interesting. Are the Raptors better than the Sixers? Or are they better than the Cavs? Because I think they're better than the Wizards. They're better than the Hornets. They're as good as the Celtics. Like the Celtics are super talented, but something's wrong. Something's fucked up in Boston where they just, I don't know, man. Maybe it's
what's fucked up is they missed their window. That's what's fucked up. They were good at the wrong time. When
they have no assets anymore. This is
they didn't trade them. They it's just, and what they traded them for didn't work, and the Kyrie thing, and it's just. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the team should be so good, but something's wrong with it. You know, Brad Stevens becoming the GM and no longer being the coach, the new coach. The fact it's like, again, you have Marcus Smart. Something's wrong. They're not it's just they're not playing together in the same type of way. Something's wrong in Boston.
Yeah.
But on the same note though, I don't want to get into this situation again where we're overextending on what we think this team is, because we did that for a bit. I did that for a bit.
Well, no.
And then we went the other way. So
let me be fully honest. This is not a contender right now. It's a fun team that can make the playoffs, maybe even around, depending on where they're seated and who they play against. Like if they play a bottom 4 team, like if they're not playing, Miami might be the best team in the division, like in the conference, honestly, when they're fully healthy.
Chicago's.
I don't
know. Respect Chicago.
Chicago.
I want to see them in the playoffs. I want to see the Bulls in the playoffs because Chicago reminds me a lot of. I've said this to you guys. I don't know if I said it on the podcast. They remind me a lot of that Hawks team that had 60 wins with Budenholzer and Damari Carroll and Jeff Teague and Paul Millsap and Kyle Korver. And they look like, you know what I mean? Like they look like they were just the greatest team ever. And they got dismantled by LeBron in the playoffs.
I don't know. I think they're better than that, but
I hope so.
They have more better individual guys than that. Which
in
is
the playoffs. In the playoffs, who's their guy? Who's the dude? Like, because
you know what Anthony's going to say. You already know the answer.
Well, Levine is a monster. Lonzo Ball, dude. Lonzo Ball.
That's what. Yeah.
Stabilizer, keeping him on check.
Have we seen Zach LaVine be able to do what he does in the regular season in the playoffs? Has Zach LaVine ever been healthy enough to actually? Yeah.
No, he's never made the playoffs.
So these are all things that we will need to see. Like, who is going to be the guy in crunch time when it matters? Because honestly, until I see them do something, I don't know. Because, again, the Raptors, really good regular season team before they got Kawhi, right? And just couldn't, like, that's kind of what I see in that Bulls team. I think they're incredibly fun. And honestly, they're a great team to watch. If you're watching Bulls games is entertaining as hell, especially on DeMar DeRozan and the fact that the Bulls are on this weird clutch run. DeMar hit back-to-back walk-off threes.
That was beautiful. You know Andrew, the guy who's our regular guest who couldn't make it today. I don't think a person in the world was as excited for DeMar DeRozan as that guy. He loves DeMar DeRozan.
Dude, I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for the way it's working out in Chicago.
And it's fun when Chicago's good. Chicago's a great basketball town when it's going. They're in the Rose era, the Ben Gordon era.
They're a great sports town.
They are very fun.
Ever. All of their sports when they're good, they're a great sports town.
Actually, the Bears are more fun when they suck, though.
They're more it's more entertaining watching Bear fans exactly. Bears fans are more entertaining when the Bears suck. It's just I think the Raptors are better than a lot of these teams in the East, and it's time for them to show it. They have the talent. And here's the thing. I don't think they're a contender yet, but if Scotty Barnes can grow into what he looks like he might be able to grow into, in a couple of years, this team might be very, very scary with a veteran Fred VanVleet who would be like 30, with Pascal who would be like 29, 30, with OG who would be like 26, right? There's a chance that when Scotty's in his early 20s, the rest of these guys are still in their the middle of their primes, and OG just hitting it. This team could be really good. Gary Trent Jr., who's also 23, like OG. That's the thing about this Raptors team. In a couple of years, this team could be dominant, and it's the first thing is beating good teams this year, making the playoffs this year, and then continuing to grow.
I'm just happy we're watching a team that's scoring, because at the beginning of the year, I was like, oh shit, we're going to have to watch a bunch of 89, 80 games.
Yeah.
And just be miserable at the offensive being stunted. But with everyone healthy, it just seems to be fixing itself.
And the defense is still there.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for this Raptors team. I was super high on them. I was like, they're a top 4 team in the East. I don't think they're a top 4 team, but I don't think 5. I think 5 and 6 is very real.
I think they're around where they're going to finish.
I'd be happy with a play-in tournament.
I think 5 or 6 is a real possibility just because of who's there in the mushy middle. But that means they have to win this week. They have to start beating they have to start punching above their weight class. They have to start winning regular season games against teams that are better than them. Right? Like they need to beat a Utah. Essentially in this Utah but out of Utah, Suns, and the Pelicans, like that 3-game stretch, that West Coast, like where they play those West Coast opponents, they have to win 2 of those 3 games.
Yeah, and when we did see them play good teams early, we didn't really get to see our actual team play them, so it's hard to judge. So there are a lot of measuring stick games, and we got to see. And I know you're higher on them than me and Anthony, but I really hope you're right because any kind of a playoff run, and people after the championship, it feels like okay, title or bust. But ever since that era has kind of died out, it's been like okay, let's just see a nice fun team make a little bit of a run and see
like I would love to see them like even if they finish 7 or 8 and are in the play-in tournament. I think they can definitely win a play-in round, and they could. They're probably not going to win the first round game. But if they played a series against the Chicago, I could see them taking Chicago deep. Chicago's going to win that series. I think Chicago would win that series, but I think they could take it to 6 at least.
Bulls in 5.
I don't know about that.
I just want to see a Boston in a playing game. I think that would be like a good thing to hope for this season. That'd be fun.
I don't know if you want to wish that because I just have this memory of Jason Tatum and the 50-point games that he's had and the ones where he scores at an insane efficiency clip and he just takes an entire game over. And again, I'm the one that's saying I don't think Boston's very good this year because something's wrong in the room, in the organization. Something's going on, but I just don't want any part
they have
of
a lot of
Tatum.
success against the Raptors. Like I don't know what it is. They just owned the Raptors recently. So I want to play, but it would be fun. Like the 7-game series they had 2 years ago in the bubble was fun.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's what we wanted, but
no, it was a wild series.
That was actually, dude. The Marcus Smart showed it actually ruined everything for me. Just watching him go off every game was.
Yeah, you want that again. And watching Marcus Smart.
The more we talk about it, the more I don't.
And then
the more it brings up the memories again.
The potential of Jason Tatum just effortlessly dropping 40. Yeah.
Anyways.
But no. Right now the Raptors are looking good. They are up 17 on the Spurs. Like they're beating the hell out of the Spurs. Fred's got 28 points. He's on another ridiculous heater. Do you want to jump into NFL? We can fly through football real quick. Unless, just real quick, Insigne.
It happened.
Lorenzo Insigne to TFC is official.
We got the confirmation from the guy we needed.
Fabrizio, that's all that matters.
That's what I was waiting on last week, and it happened today, which is oddly enough a week after we record. So
waiting for us to record to confirm.
Just waiting to see
who else they get because Lorenzo Insigne is the. Sorry, go for it, Dio.
No, I have a question about transfer portals in MLS. Is this is a bigger time for them?
They can
because
buy
in England. It's kind of wait till the summer.
Yeah, exactly. They can buy guys now because it's their off season, but they wait for them to show up. That's why Insigne's waiting till his contract expires, and it's a 5.5-year deal because it's half because of European the way the European season is compared to the MLS season. That's why he's getting signed and paid in this way, which is insane. Again, he's getting the $11.5 million, the $4.5 million in bonuses, plus a car, a house, an English teacher. There was a whole list of things that they're giving. It's amazing. I'm still down for it though, and there might be bringing other guys. Now we're talking about who else they might bring. And if they do a Josie Altidore style thing, get a 27, 28-year-old striker, but it happens to be one of these other fucking Italian internationals that's rumored to potentially be coming. Insigne's the biggest signing this league has ever had.
Was there any update on that?
Oh God! Who's the guy who's the walking the red line guy? He said that there was something happening today that he was talking about that. There's a lot of talk that essentially TFC's coming back with multiple Italians from this trip. So we'll see.
Take them all.
This the designated players this team could be special. I said
how many Forza like he's your Italian, and like how many of those just Italian people are just gonna just jump on this team right now?
It's gonna be like Giovinco all over again. It's Giovinco all over again. All of Woodbridge, all of St. Clair, all of College. It's just gonna embrace TFC again. And it's going to be amazing. And then they're going to be super insulted when Insigne doesn't make the national team because he plays in the MLS now.
Yeah.
Actually, he'll make, because actually he'll make the World Cup because he plays into July and it's this summer. Yeah. So he'll play in the World Cup
this winter.
Yes, if Italy qualifies, which they will. But he'll play in that.
What if they draw Portugal?
They did.
They did?
Yes.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I'm not following Euro qualifying because
they did draw Portugal.
Conversation.
Yeah,
I'm following just CONCACAF.
They drew Portugal.
I saw before the draw. I'm like, well, that'd be funny if that happened, and it actually happened.
It happened. Yeah,
really funny.
Yeah. So they did draw Portugal. So Insigne will probably be on the World Cup team, and then they'll get really insulted when he's on the Euro and the next World Cup teams because he'll be 32 and playing in the MLS and. The Italians don't respect, like, for the longest time, they didn't respect other leagues that weren't Italy. Do you think they care about North America?
No. We need to build this league a little bit more still.
But it's also the biggest signing this league's ever had.
Talking about Italy,
he's the most talented. He's not the most decorated because that's David Beckham, right? Like, they've had bigger names, but in terms of best player in the prime of their... Exactly.
You don't want these 90s. Like, they're great to have, but you want these 28, 30-year-olds who are just in their prime.
He still has years of great soccer, and in this league, he can play this entire contract out being one of the best players in the league, if not the best player in the league.
I agree 100% with everything you said.
Do you have any analysis on his tactical ability?
The what?
Do you have any analysis on his game?
He puts the ball in the net. What more do you want?
Anthony's like a foot and a half taller than him too. That's a funny visual.
He's 5'5", and that's being
Anthony's
generous.
6'7".
That's being generous. 5'5".
He's probably 5'3".
Yeah, like
very short.
Him and Giovinco are basically the same size. Oh my god, Insigne is so good. Like, he's so good. And then if they bring in Belotti or one of these other it's just. Yeah, TFC. We're going to probably be talking a lot more TFC if this continues. Actually,
I ironically said we're going to be doing some TFC talk like early on in this, and we actually are now. I'm going to be watching.
Yeah.
So.
I'm guessing who's their other Soldado, right? That was the one of the designated players. Who's number 30. That was the guy who kind of took over because Pozzuelo hasn't been playing much. I wonder if he's still going to be a designated player. And they bring in one. I don't know. This is gonna be fascinating. Actually, I'm gonna have to dig into this more. But yeah, let's move on to the NFL. What a wild week! What a wild that we talked about how excited we were and how good that Bengals Chiefs game should be with all the people involved in it. Oh my dear God. You played against Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Rest in peace. I did in one league. That was terrible. I have him in another league, which I didn't make the finals in, which these two made the finals in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that.
And one of them came out victorious. The little crybaby who tried to sabotage my matchup, and it didn't even matter.
He's upset.
Still won.
And Theo's gone. Theo disappeared
won.
As his brother starts attacking.
Lucas has never won. He's never come close to winning our league. He was 7th place.
Okay, we're not actually going to talk about this.
No, we just wanted. I wanted to give you some shine, and then that happened, and it was great.
Well, can we talk about the reason? Like, it's a perfect transition into the reason. Actually, do you want to talk about the Bengals game first?
Yeah, because I feel like that game was spectacular.
Spectacular. My setup for Sunday is.
Yeah, it's great. You have three
TVs. So I have Red Zone Eagles and then whatever game. The whatever game this week was definitely going to be Chiefs Bengals. I'm like, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to check in on it. Went to 14-0 Chiefs. And I said, you know what? There's better games on now. I don't need to pay too much attention to this. I really didn't pay attention until the fourth quarter. That came and I feel really bad because it was a coming out party for a lot of different people.
Jamar Chase scored. If you played in a half-point PPR, he scored over 50 points. He set a rookie record with 266 yards.
Yeah.
It was 266, 236. Now I forget.
60.
I'm getting confused with the Ohio State record too, because that happened the day before.
Exactly in that bowl game. So I'm pretty sure it was 266, 3 touchdowns. Joe Burrow 404 for a second straight game. Like, oh my God.
I love how he just said, like, I just became that meme, like, fuck it, Chase down there somewhere and just threw it. That's what he did.
And then, though, in standard Bengals, like, they've been so good at not doing this and being the Bungles. And then, on 4th and 1, I get what you're trying to do with Patrick Mahomes and sending a message, but did you not kick the field goal?
Well, it should have never got to that point. The Chiefs should have let them score with a minute and a half, whatever.
Yeah, well,
with all their timeouts, and then they would have gotten the ball back.
They should have stopped them though. If you're like, I know what you're right, and they should have had more awareness, but like, they had it stopped too until that penalty.
Yeah.
Down, right?
Oh man.
Like, it almost worked out in the end.
Yeah, and then the penalty came back.
But that drive.
The Chiefs called an all-out. They called an all-out blitz on 3rd and 27, and left Chase one-on-one. Why?
I watched that back again just to see, like, because you said it was single coverage, and I'm like, there's no way there. I looked over again. I'm like, there was no one over there. There's one guy. Of course, he's gonna play it. They played that matchup all day, one-on-one, throw it up. That's all they did. That's what I get. I was with the Chiefs defense. How
they could have given up a field goal there, no problem.
Yeah.
They were afraid to give up points for some reason.
This is why I can't buy into the Chiefs too. It's not the Chiefs, but like their defense. Everyone was kind of getting hyped. It's like defense. When you're not an elite defense, it just matters about the offense you play. If the offense is good, you're going to look like shit. If the offense is bad, you're going to look great. And that's what I felt mostly was happening with that defense. Like, they've obviously played better, but like in a matchup like this, you can see the flaws that they do have.
Well, that was like with the Steve Spagnuolo was always super aggressive, pressuring the quarterback with blitzes, and that the Bengals exploited it in a big way.
Well, Joe Burrow's come into his own. What was that? I think it was the Ravens game where he was talking about finally seeing things properly. The first Ravens game. Where I think it was to CJ Uzomah where he hit him twice for 2 long touchdowns. I think it was the first Ravens game of the season.
That was
where he had that press conference where he talked about now he understands, like, he sees things in defenses essentially before, like, the way a veteran quarterback was. He sees it before it's happening. He knows what to trek into. He's been in the offense. He knows the personnel. And then when you look at the personnel, so I'm talking about CJ Uzomah, but when you talk about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon, like, this team is poised to be really good for a really long time unless they Bengals it up.
And not to mention their new pass aggressive philosophy, which they weren't
after
doing.
being a run team. Yeah,
because it was like Mixon 30 carries a game for a while. Like, and they've just changed that into it. Yeah. And
if they finally, like, because now the offense has said if they can address the offensive line and give Burrow more time to find his talented targets, and if they go get a receiving tight end, like, it's just the things that they could do now to augment the offense. It's terrifying because of how good they are, and they can spend all of this time to, like, you bring in a couple offensive linemen, you add maybe a tight end. You don't have to go out of your way to go. You don't have to use a 4th overall fucking pick on a tight end. But anyways,
with that division, like, if you look at it, like, if Lamar is declining, like, I don't think he is. I think he's still a good quarterback, but like, if he isn't what everyone thought he was going to be with his MVP,
the Browns,
if the Steelers can't find the quarterback, the Browns literally they thought they had everything this year but a quarterback, and they turned out to have a lot of issues. Like, this Bengals team's kind of set up. I don't want to jinx them, but like,
the Ravens, it was also their whole team got injured this year.
That's
and they're still going to be 500.
That's so like that.
Next, when they got hurt, they were like 8-3, right?
No,
like,
that's
set up to 500.
Well, they missed all of, like, they lost all their corners, all their running backs. So,
and Lamar Jackson,
right? Like, now they've lost Lamar Jackson, but early in the year they lost all their running backs before the season started. Then they lost all their corners by like week 3. We're still winning. And now they've lost. Like Lamar Jackson, and it's just like they can't lose. Like now you've hit the critical mass. You know what I mean?
Speaking of that game, that Rams game, this is my Matthew Stafford found a way to throw to the one healthy corner on Baltimore that day, and found a way to get another pick six. Why is he like? They're not doing shit with him in the playoffs. I'm very confident saying they're not winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they have to play. It seems like they have to play very specific teams, right?
Like any okay defense, like Stafford will take his risks and make mistakes like that, and they lose. But I guess thinking about the playoffs, I mean, like there are almost all of those teams would give him that confusion, except for like Dallas.
Dallas is a team like. Because you were talking about Diggs. Diggs has given up. So I saw this stat. Theo, I think you liked the tweet.
Yeah, I know.
So he has all the interceptions. He's given up over 1,000 yards in pass.
That's what I was trying to get at the last few weeks because everyone was hyping this guy. And
Micah Parsons is the star. He's the freak. He's the unnatural. Like Diggs is a takeaway machine, but Diggs isn't.
But does that matter if you give up a touch on the next drive? Like
exactly.
How much is that worth? But
yeah. No, that was people that talk about it for defensive player of the year. It was just like that's slow your roll.
Absurd. Yes,
okay, try that stuff. Yeah,
I've been saying that all year.
It's essentially what's happening. It's basically what's happening.
Of me, my opinions, and our opinions as well.
What else about that playoff picture?
The Bills
the Eagles
beat the Falcons, eliminated the Falcons. The Falcons are bad, even though they're stuck in that game.
A tough Josh Allen day, really. But
that was. If you're the Bills, get concerned. I don't understand what is wrong. Like, I guess in the playoffs you can't play down to opponents, but this Bills team is weird, man.
Well, they just rely too much on Josh Allen to have to do everything. Like, they had more running game against the Falcons, but like most days it's just like, okay, Josh Allen needs to be a hero.
They've been just giving it to Devin Singletary, and it's been working. Where they've given him like 20 touches, 20 plus touches a game, and exactly. But yeah, they can't. Josh has to do everything, or else this team. They won on a terrible taunting call.
Yeah, they took away a Matt Ryan great run because of stupid penalty.
Yeah, you can't tell that man to act like he's been there before because it's not like he gets rushing touchdowns. It's not like he's been there before. So let him celebrate.
They should have, yeah.
And you guys were in the playoff hunt, the Falcons, until that day. You guys had a shot.
They weren't really. But they weren't really.
They were. Because the Eagles were losing at that point, and the Falcons were winning. So if that
helped, you know how I felt. You know what I told you about this team. They were going to find a way to finish with the new thing, like 7-10 or 8-9. Like that was what's going to happen. They weren't going to have they weren't going to be good enough to make the playoffs. They weren't going to be bad enough to have a good draft pick. They were going to be in the mushy middle and draft a tight end 4th overall. But anyways, let's not talk about them. They're not in the playoff picture.
Now he's hurt, right?
He's not going to be able to break the record because he definitely hurt his hammy, and they haven't ruled him out, but I don't think there's any way because you could tell he was trying to stay in the game to break the record, and by the end of it, he could barely move. So,
and it sucks too. Guys who break the record next week are going to get a lot of flack.
Well, that's exactly he could have done it.
Records,
well, the funny thing is, so he's only the second rookie tight end ever to have 1,000 yards. The funny thing is the Ditka record happened in 14 games because that was when it was 14 game season. So even if he would have done it in 16 games, which would have been impressive, it still was the 14 games that Ditka did it in. Yeah, at a time where they didn't throw, and they didn't throw to tight ends. So that's even more ridiculous. The thing that Mike Ditka did that in the era he did it in is still mind-boggling. But
I got to ask Anthony. We called it last week. We said you got to be concerned with the Raiders, the John Madden game. It turned out. How concerned are you about? Well, they got to just beat the Jags and they're in, right? Like, there's no other things that need to happen.
But they don't beat the Jags.
We've seen what happens with the Jags.
Yeah. Well, last week I put a lot of it on Carson not practicing the whole week because of the COVID.
He said there was no problems. He said he was ready.
I also saw him say it was a very weird week, and I think that was a subliminal way of him saying not a normal routine. I mean, he's not Aaron Rodgers, okay? So he needs to practice, and he didn't have a good game, and the defense didn't keep the Raiders off the field when they could have. Hunter Renfrow torched them the whole game, and it's okay. It's a good thing they beat Arizona and New England because they're in this spot where they beat the worst team in the NFL, and they're in the playoffs.
I don't want this to. I mean, I want the funniest scenario because I have nothing to cheer for. The Eagles are already clinched. Everything's fine. But if you guys lose to the Jags, like,
oh my God,
it puts a lot of things into perspective. It's going to put a lot of things at the forefront. That the Wentz trade is going to be talked about all offseason. Well, not if you win a playoff game. It's not.
If you make the playoffs, I don't think many people will talk about it. As long as he doesn't. Well,
they might.
Already like
they were playing team last year.
No, but I was about to say if he looks atrocious in a playoff game, they'll talk about it.
Well, I say it all the time. They didn't have many other options. It was him or Jimmy Garoppolo, and they took Carson Wentz. They're stuck. It's a situation. They have a really good team, but Andrew Luck retired, so they've had to pivot to other options.
Steve's frozen in the funniest face.
Speaking of Jimmy Garoppolo, oh yeah, can you hear me now? I'm back.
You're back.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
You boys hear me?
Now we heard nothing you said until now.
No, I didn't say anything.
Okay.
No, I didn't say anything.
You had your mouth open though, and it paused, and you looked like you were saying something.
Yeah, because I was trying to say. Speaking of Jimmy Garoppolo, did you see Trey Lance?
Yeah,
especially when they decided to throw the ball downfield in the second half with Trey Lance.
Yeah,
he gives that.
Trey Lance is
that
really
been their starter.
He got so much flack for one game.
Exactly. Well, that was the funny thing when they were lumping him with all the other rookie quarterbacks. It's like he hasn't really played, and when he has,
I think that was more of the criticism though, was that he couldn't get a starting job over this guy. That was the reason people were trashing it. But I don't know why they wouldn't go with him. Like, it just gives them that.
The
extra
funny thing
is,
the reports were that the locker room early on was behind Jimmy, and they were like, you can't put a rookie in there, right? Because they thought they were a playoff team when they had Jimmy Garoppolo. Now I think that, now that he looks good and is winning games, I don't think that's an issue anymore.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. He just brings so much more to the offense. He's just way better.
Yes.
And the Niners they got to beat the Rams to get in this week, and they've won
the last 5.
They dominated.
Okay, I had it reversed again. I was.
You thought they lost? Okay, yeah.
I was thinking okay, so that takes away what I was going to say, but if you do think he has a better chance to win, that's going to be a huge conversation point. Did they say anything about what they're doing?
They kept saying that Garoppolo was going to play, even though he had a torn ligament in his thumb. So if he's got a torn ligament in his thumb, I don't think he's playing.
No, even when he's healthy.
I think that's kind of him lying to try to fool the.
That's exactly. Yeah,
gamesmanship.
But yeah, that's fascinating. I can't wait to watch that. That's gonna be a huge game. Niners, Rams, with Trey Lance most likely.
I thought that was gonna be the Sunday nighter, and then I realized that the Raiders and Chargers, who also could be the funniest situation ever, which I didn't realize.
How did they not plan for that?
I don't think they thought the Jags could win.
Yeah, so if you don't know about this, if the Jags beat the Colts, the Chargers and the Raiders could just agree not to play, because if they both tie, they both make the playoffs.
Joe Judge will literally be seething in anger if that happens.
If that level of collusion happens, it would be. Could you imagine?
Teams would get fined up the ass.
Dude. And because here's the thing, they would play the game, but it would you know what I mean?
You can't tell players to do this. That's why I don't understand how they would make this work. You can't just take a knee every play. The players when they're out, they're gonna.
It would be something. I can't even. I don't even know. I vote for chaos. I vote for chaos.
I think that'd be the funniest Sunday. Would be the Colts losing, the Steelers winning, and me watching my Steelers brother freak out because these teams are playing to a tie right now.
Exactly. It would just be the greatest thing ever.
But the thing is, it's hard to do it in football, but this happens in soccer. Remember there was a World Cup back then?
It was a World or a Euro Cup. Yeah, exactly.
To move on.
And that's why they
did nothing.
Exactly. They found out, I think it was at half, that whatever team had lost, that like whatever result had happened, where both of them just needed a draw, and they came out and for 45 minutes just passed the ball around. Yeah, and that's why all the games are played at once now in the World Cup on that final day, and and in the Euro, to make sure that can't happen again. And you would think that the NBA would have, or the NFL would have done a little bit of due diligence with their new fucking playoff schedule to think that that's actually possible and not schedule it.
Well, yeah, because they've rescheduled everything.
Exactly.
Like, they think about it, like, oh, we're going to move it around. Chargers Raiders could have been a really fun Saturday instead of the Colts game.
Yeah, you could. But
I don't think the Colts aren't on Saturday, but whatever.
No, the Eagles are, which is really even more ridiculous.
That's just
I don't know why that happened. I didn't want that game flex there too. First of all, the Eagles have COVID issues, so that game's not even gonna be fun to watch. Like, it's gonna be Minshew and a bunch of backups versus whatever the Cowboys throw out there. Who they're saying they're starting their guys, which I was talking to Anthony about. Do the Cowboys need a few drives with Dak to just get this back on track
to get him feeling good? Apart. Yeah,
they have not looked good other than that Washington game.
Zeke looks washed.
He looks exactly as I said he was going to look for all of the year, and the time I needed him to play in fantasy just did nothing. But like, Pollard's their guy; he should be their guy 100%. It's just they put the money in the wrong person's pocket.
It's going to be fascinating. I also, it would be great to see them win the wild card game just so that they could go to Lambeau and get eviscerated by the Packers.
I don't think they'd play them because it depends on if the Eagles or the Niners get an upset, they would play the Packers.
You got to think about the Eagles because the Eagles are going to win their first game, so it wouldn't happen.
You got to talk. No, and the problem too is they don't beat the Cardinals, the Cowboys, so they're not even. This conversation's irrelevant. That's what they're probably going to play.
Or the Rams, whatever. Slim chance that happens.
I just remember Collinsworth talking about there was a chance of setting up that way, and I would just love it because it would be amazing.
I just know for a fact there's like an 80% chance the Eagles play the Bucs, so the rest of these combinations are what I'm thinking is going to happen around that.
True. Anything else you want to get to?
I think we kind of covered most of this playoff picture. Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
I was going to say, the fun stuff, or the stuff that we're paying attention.
We kind of ignore the Titans, but that's
they got the number one seed, unbelievable, and
people are saying the worst one seed of all time. I don't know.
Don't give the Titans bulletin board material because that's when they go on a run.
Yeah, actually, well, if you make them an underdog in a game, they'll just win it. That's what happens.
It doesn't matter who they play.
No.
That's probably as good a sign as any to just wrap it up right here. So, as I reappear,
the Tennessee Titans, so yeah, we're good.
Oh yeah, Tennessee locking up the top seed.
We were giving them bulletin board material by not talking about them.
Well, I also can't wait to see what Rashad Penny and Devonta Foreman this offseason are going to be fascinating to me. Because both of them are going to free agents.
They're getting money.
Right? And the injury history with both of them is so terrifying. But the way that they ended these, it's just. Anyways, but we'll wrap that up. We'll talk about that another.
The Giants will sign both of them.
Honestly, yeah, they'll find a way because the Giants are dumb. They would do that and convert Saquon to wide receiver or some shit because they're stupid because they're the Giants. Or Joe Judge would just make him the quarterback. They'd run a triple option. Just make a college.
A lot of guys want to play there, so
hey,
a lot of competition.
They'll have their pick of the litter in free agency.
But anyways, we'll wrap this up. Unless you guys wanted to get to anything else.
No, nothing.
I want to get back to baseball. I'll be honest with you guys.
Same.
Should we talk about that signing? By the way, I didn't know we. Nah, fuck it.
They signed a utility guy.
We might never see him.
That's exactly.
We'll see.
There's a chance he plays the whole season at AAA and you never see him. I'm not, or you see him in September.
Well, if we don't see Major League does this lockout affect the minor league season?
No. So we might be able to see him in Buffalo.
Yeah, we might be having I might steal your.
Well, then we might break him down. MILB.
You have the pass this year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll probably
watch minor league baseball. It's cheap. It's like $36. I share with a couple. I do not share with anybody.
Without the express written consent of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it's like $36.99. It's not bad. It's not bad at all, considering it's so many fucking games, and they play morning games in the minors, so you could watch baseball literally all day some days because the games start in the morning. But anyways, this has been the Toronto Untilt podcast. As always, you can find us at our website, torontountilt.com. You can find us on Twitch when we stream live like we are right now, Toronto on Tilt. You can find us at our YouTube channel. We are streaming live there. This video will be posted there. It's Toronto on Tilt if you're searching for it. And, of course, anywhere that you listen to podcasts, the audio of this podcast will be posted shortly, and it always goes up right after these videos, and you can listen to it anywhere that you listen to podcasts. That's Spotify, that's Google Podcasts, that's Apple Podcasts, that's Anchor, Breaker, Bleaker, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. That would be hilarious if there was a Trevor Lawrence coming out party. I don't think it'd be hilarious for Tony. He would be very upset. But we'll see what happens. We'll talk to you later. Lorenzo Insigne is a red. Good things are happening, even though COVID sucks.